What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel and more SPQR coverage here. We're continuing on with our faction reviews here, seeing what's new in the new edition of the game, and we're moving along. We covered Gaul recently, and now we're moving on to Germania, which is one of the warbands that we actually play. So it'll be interesting to kind of see what has changed for myself, actually, and of course, hopefully for you guys as well. So we start off with the hero as usual. So again, we've seen a 5-point discount here. Stat wise, let's see, everything has remained the same there. And again, no sort of stock equipment here. So basically, just a wide open toolbox as far as options here. But as with, I think, a lot of the previous heroes, I think we're going to see that everything is kind of essentially gone up, or almost everything. So small shield has doubled to 4, leather armor has gone to 6 from 5. So just a small increase there. Chainmail has gone up a point as well. The helmet has doubled, tripled, my bad, tripled in price from 2 to 6. Um, Kind of in line with leather armor. Before, there was always a difference in points between helmet and leather armor, even though they did exactly the same thing. So why would you take the more expensive option? Now they're exactly the same. So there's, again, really still no difference between them. Short spears have gone up or doubled in price from 3 to 6, which makes sense. Go check out our video on the weapons and everything and see how spears have changed, and why they're really, in a lot of cases, a very useful weapon now. Short spears that is, daggers have stayed 2. The axe has gone up by 3 points. The great axe has actually dropped a point. The sword has also dropped a point. Again, swords will still have a pretty good function, especially with heroes. But again, just to mention it for those who haven't maybe seen the other videos or seen the new edition yet, but again, parrying is gone as a mechanic. So swords by themselves have no special rules currently. And then let's see, what else have we gotten here. The two-handed sword that the previous edition had is gone. That has been replaced with the option for a club for 8 points, or 8 denarii, and a large club for 10. So the 2 brand new options there, guys. Again, the two-handed sword is gone, replaced by the club and large club. The bow is still there, but it has gone up a point from 3 to 4. The horse has come down 10 points, which we've seen kind of standard across all the heroes so far, just to make it easier to have mounted heroes, especially earlier on in campaigns. And then you can still purchase multiple javelins, but those have doubled in price from 2 denarii each to 4 denarii each, so pretty expensive if you want to load up on all 3 there. So, again, small discount for the base hero, but again, pretty much everything has gone up in points. It is interesting that we get the club and large club as options. And the large club kind of sort of functioning like the two-handed sword, although we don't get reach with the two-handed club, which the two-handed sword has now, which again, reach is a very useful ability on top of everything else. But overall, pretty decent here again. Horses coming down is good, just for easier access to mounted heroes. Again, the 10-point discount there is pretty nice, especially now paired with a short spear. Javelins, unless you really are really insisting on going the ranged route with your hero and want that short range ability, and putting some of your stats into that, it gets kind of pricey. 12 points if you want to take all 3. There's really, I don't think, a point in just taking 1, unless you just want some random surprise once per battle kind of thing. So 12 points for 3 javelins is a bit pricey now. But daggers are still kind of pointless. You really shouldn't be putting those on your heroes, I don't think. But we do have options here for light armor, or if you really want to load up with chainmail, again, that's going to slow you down. But chainmail on a horse is fantastic. Although again, we're adding 36 points still. If we want to go that route. So some interesting changes here, but overall pretty much in line with most heroes that we've seen so far. And again, now that we've kind of covered the 3 initial horde armies that are somewhat similar, Britons, Gauls, and Germania, we do see a lot of overlap between their heroes there. So a lot of similar options. Alrighty, guys, we move next to the warrior unit, kind of our mainstay unit as far as infantry goes. In the army, and just like with some of the other factions, again, Gauls and Brits mainly, we've seen there's been an increase in the point cost there. So we have gone from 9 to 14 base cost now, which is a pretty big upcharge. Again, like everything else minion-wise, basically 1 melee dice per piece now. Other than that, everything else has stayed the same. They do still come with large shields and short spears, so we have that as a nice standard set of kit. And with some of the increases in some of the equipment costs, that's good. But again, other things have come down as well. Javelins on the upgrade side have stayed the same at 2, so that's kind of nice. Leather armor has dropped significantly from 5 down to 1. That being said, still 1 point more expensive to have a leather armored warrior than it was before. Helmets are also 1, makes sense. Again, the discrepancy between the two in the previous edition is gone. They're the same points because they do exactly the same thing. So let's see here. Other options. Axes for 3 points before. That has gone up a point. But now we actually get access to clubs, which again, we saw that with the hero getting clubs and losing the two-handed sword. So here we still have our axe option, but we've actually gained 2 more weapon options, guys. So that could really make for some interesting things there. Or actually just 1 more. Sorry, for some reason I thought we saw great clubs here too, but no, just great regular clubs. We still have the option to purchase the German wives for every 2 warriors and for 2 denarii each. That stayed the same. The horn has stayed the same, of course, but banners have come down to 5 points from 25 because again their range is halved. And then if no German wives are taken, the whole unit may get hit and run for only 1 denarii or denarius each now, as opposed to having to pay for it before with 3 denarii apiece, which was rather pricey if you wanted to go that route, but a cool option nonetheless. So, and really out of all these similar like warrior units again across like Gauls and Brits, in some ways the German ones can really just be superior. Being able to get hit and run out of your main combat unit is pretty cool, just to set up multiple charges potentially. We're going to skip the wives for a second. If we forego any armor basically other than the large shield, we can go the Skyclad route if we want to go all in on that and gain another +1 bonus to melee, which again, we really should be shooting for large units anyway, so that you get all the benefits of being a large unit then too, which makes these guys pretty scary. There are no druids or anything in this list, but or in the German faction, but they don't really need it. They do have strength in numbers as well, so again, emphasis is on building and fielding large units. And again, if you're going Skyclad, you're not going to have much in the way of protection. Large shield's going to be nice, but it's not going to save you, really. So, you're going to have to take certainly some extra guys just to really absorb some damage on the way in. You got to expect or respect the opponent to have some sort of missile troops, and then still be able to charge home and take some casualties, but letting you basically benefit from the large unit and wild charge and all that stuff as long as possible. But anyway, strength in numbers, we've seen it before, guys, right? And it's just kind of changed now. Instead of having like a bonus at 10 or more models and a bonus at 20 or more, it's just a flat, if you're a large unit now, you get +1 bonus to your bravery. So, ideally in most situations, unless you've really been mauled or it's kind of late game maybe, you should be rocking the +2 bravery with these guys, so leadership should be okay. Again, probably good to have some heroes nearby as well. That might be geared for keeping in the fight longer. Wild charging, and we've seen that as well. But basically, the change to that is rather than giving each individual model that makes base contact, just each individual model an extra melee dice, whether they made base contact or not. Now it's basically, as long as you're a large unit, you get 10 extra dice, a flat number there. Just as long as you charge, basically. So you don't have to worry about making contact or anything, or getting everybody into contact and stuff like that. Coming back to the German wives, though, because that's obviously unique to this unit. So let's see if that has really changed. So German wife models add to the number of models in the unit, but don't count towards the maximum unit size. However, German wives are always the first to be removed as casualties, running away when things get tough, as opposed to really being cut down. So basically the same thing as before, and they've stayed the same point cost. So it's a nice way to pad out your unit size and really have those sort of ablative wounds, because paying 14 points for like a max size unit is going to be pretty damn expensive. Going to be scary, but you're going to have a force with far fewer units to activate and stuff like that, and eventually the opponent can kind of just plink away at you or keep away from you if need be. But yeah, wives are a great way to keep things keep the stats, or not the stats, but the bulk up. But again, then you do lose out on hit and run. So you got a lot of choices here, a lot of things competing for your attention, and how you really want to set these guys up. If you take any kind of armor, Skyclad is off the table, but you could go with a bit of armor here, and just to really have that save. And it's pretty cheap again overall with 1 denarii for the armor or the helmet. But there's things to be said for really going like a little bit more punchy with these guys. So all out offense, I could see like the clubs or the axes being a good upgrade, and then 100% offense is really going to be all about going the Skyclad route, getting that bonus to melee, large unit, charging in, just going absolutely crazy, and should be really kind of freaking scary with all those things, all those special rules coming into play and stacking and all that, charge bonuses, etc. So overall, it could be very scary. And even if you don't go with anything else, the short spear now is really good with the reach ability. So basically, making it a formidable unit, kind of whatever way you go. But again, you have so many choices here to now consider really with what you want to do with the warriors. Alrighty guys, continuing on with the minion units here, our other infantry unit is the Humble Tribesman. He has gone up a point, and again, as is pretty much standard, melee dice have come down to 1 apiece, and they still come standard with the bow, so that's basically going to be your main missile option here. You still have really the option to get pretty good quantity. 1 point extra is really not that big of a deal. The upgrade paths here, if you do want something a little bit deadlier at short range, you can still go with up to 2 javelins, same cost. If you want a little bit of armor, you could take either the leather or the helmets there. It doesn't really matter. They're 3 points apiece now, so that's kind of even itself out, whereas they were 2 and 5 respectively before. You do have the option for small shields still. That's actually come down a point, so that's pretty cool. And swords have also come down a point to 2. The reason for that is you can kind of transform these guys into a sort of a pseudo combat unit as well. They're not going to be that scary with just the +1 to melee. But they come standard with hit and run and still strength in numbers, so like bravery shouldn't be an issue. And really, if you're already a large unit, obviously they're going to be a little bit more scary when they do get a charge off, and they can do a little bit of work. They're not going to be overly formidable, and really you shouldn't be charging in against things that are for sure going to just wreck these guys. But in a pinch, they can add some support or deal with other light troops like that and have a fair shot at doing their thing. And if need be, they can always take advantage of hit and run and stuff like that. So but yeah, that's going to be still your primary missile unit, and they can still do decently well there. So loading up on some different units of these guys, I would say certainly multiple just bow armed ones, nothing fancy beyond that, but then maybe creating one sort of like multi-purpose unit or something in your force, depending on the size of the game, certainly something worth considering. And then finally we move on to our cavalry option, which is pretty good here for the Germans. So the horseman, coming up from 20 to 22 denarii now. Again, melee dice are down to 1, but everything else has stayed the same, although you will note that there is no armor listed anymore, and that's because horses don't provide an armor buff anymore. That is gone. So you do have to load up on armor for the guy, or barding if you really want to actually increase an armor save now. Still the 2 wounds though. They still come with the horse, short spear, and small shield. So again, and spears, especially the short spear now, is much more useful than it was. And the small shield's not a bad little package here. So we still can add a little bit of ranged ability to them if we want, kind of running around chucking javelins. Still 2 points apiece here. Leather armor or helmets are the standard sort of 3 points apiece in this list. If you do want a little bit of armor, and really for your 22-point investment, that might not be a bad idea, though it's obviously going to bump up to 25. And then beyond that, you have the option for the horn, still at 10, and then the banner moving down to 5 points from 25. Again, still very much worth taking now, especially at 5, but the buff range of the banner has been cut in half, so probably not going to affect most of the time any other friendly units. Is really just going to be itself there. And then Interestingly, these guys come standard with hit and run as well, so you can definitely pull a lot of these types of maneuvers with the German force and kind of set up for multiple charges and things like that over the course of the game, or get yourself out of bad situations and stuff like that. So overall, still a great piece here, and a necessary mobile component to the list. So these guys should be able to hunt down stragglers and other small units and weak units. That being said, these guys are certainly still, I would say, light cavalry. Even if you bought the armor upgrade there, it's a +1 to your save. It's nothing special. So these guys certainly will not stand up to other medium cavalry, things with a +2 or save or something like that, and certainly not any heavy cavalry options out there, +3 or 4, depending on what you got loaded onto them. So they will definitely melt in the face of anything like that. So again, you got to time things right. You're going to have lots and lots of units, or lots of large units in this list. So setting up multiple charges and things like that, bouncing in and out with your various units here, and really just throwing waves and other things at the enemy just to mess with them and give them so many things to think about. If you can get these guys around on the flank and start causing havoc there, if they want to start chasing you, then they're kind of ignoring hopefully your main units of warriors and stuff like that, which is a bad move in general on their part. And so again, lots of little things to consider with this list. The Germans do still have Gaul and Germania as mercenaries, so nothing's changed there. And then we'll kind of get to wrapping things up here when we take a look at the special characters. Alrighty, guys, we start off with the infamous Arminius. He has dropped by 40 points down to 105. Stat-wise, basically everything has remained the same there. He does have the option to buy a horse for 20 as opposed to 30. He does have Dirty Fighting, Lethal Blade, Now You See Me, Wall of Iron, Warcry, and Web of Death, so that's all still the same there. He does have an axe, a chainmail shirt, and a sword, so good stuff there. And then his special ability is still the sort of shell game, where basically he can redeploy things in a kind of nasty fashion. So Arminius definitely was already great before, especially for a level 5 hero. He can definitely do some work. Although incorrectly here, I do believe, yeah, if he's wearing the chainmail shirt, he should actually be movement of 5. So I think that's a typo that was carried over from before. The chainmail shirt does take -1 from your move. So yeah, keep that in mind, guys. He should actually be movement 5. But if you put him on a horse, of course, then he gets that speed back because it's not barding. So something to consider there. But overall, he was already great before. Now with the discount, absolutely. If you're playing the kind of game where you're allowing the special characters or whatever, or a campaign or something like that, definitely worth considering taking. So and then moving on to his buddy here, our Erio, he has come down in points as well to 102 from 120. Again, it's another one of those kind of something I've been harping on here throughout the series. Why not just make him 100 or 105? Like 102 seems like such a silly number. That being said, he's still just a level 4 hero, but he does have a move of 7. Stat-wise, let's see, everything else appears to be the same. And some of his stats are kind of wonky like that because he does have the 2 dogs that accompany him, and they're kind of reflected in the rules. And that's really his special rule there. So basically, yeah, they buff his melee dice and wounds, and the cool thing there is they reduce the melee dice pool of enemy heroes by 2 during any melee action in which he or any unit he has joined are involved. So he's a deceptively strong hero in that sense. Even if he's facing a pretty badass hero or someone who's even a little bit higher than him, losing 2 melee dice, no matter who you are, it kind of still sucks. So he can certainly punch above his weight in a lot of situations there. But he does have Hammer of the Gods, Inspire, Lightfoot, Mightiest Swing, and Quick Dodge. So he can definitely really put a hurt on people. And he has a great axe, which again is going to do wonders for him when dealing with the opponent's armor. And +3 melee, 4 melee dice is pretty nasty, especially when pretty much every hero that you're going to be facing is, in almost all cases, throwing fewer melee dice than you. Only some of the other named ones, I think, have 5. Something maybe like Leonidas. We'll have to check when we get to him. But even then, like Leonidas, would be down to 3 dice. But So he's got some really interesting abilities here. That being said, where he is going to suffer is the lack of armor. 5 wounds isn't going to last forever. So if he's not in a unit, you should be trying to snipe him with any and all missile fire. He really can't do much about it. Or all that much about it, I should say. Or if he again is solo, just charging in with a whole bunch of troops, and really kind of just use strength of numbers to wear him down. If he is in a unit, it's going to be a tough fight and tough sort of not to crack, but sort of not. I think avoiding challenges and not feeding him your heroes, unless it really just is a superlative hero, is going to be the way to go there. But yeah, he's definitely worth his points, just like Arminius is. Again, I feel like he should probably just be a flat 100 points, though. The extra 2 points just, again, seems kind of pointless. But yeah, so really for the Germanians, Germania here, nothing really negative to say. Would have been nice maybe to see I guess maybe like a new type of unit or something, but this isn't really like a hard reset of the game. This is more just an update edition. But lots of little tweaks here, lots of little things to consider, especially with the way some of the weapons have changed, and again, parrying being gone. But you got really good units overall. No extra like frills or anything in the list. The warriors are good. The tribesmen are your missile troops, but also light combat troops. The horsemen can definitely do their job, but again, they're not going to stand up to other better cavalry out there. So you have to kind of still work things in concert for your whole list here. But again, that's where starting off with the hero and sort of building him to do what he needs for the various parts of your army will be key. So certainly having, at some point, if you're running horsemen, should probably have a mounted hero in there somewhere who is going to be designed to help them out and kind of maximize their effectiveness. But then really it's all about, I think, getting those charges off and hitting home with massed warrior units, and just crashing into people, and throwing that bucket of dice, and really just causing all kinds of crazy damage. And you should hopefully win out there. So let us know your thoughts, guys, on the Germania list here, the changes that we've seen, how you have played them before, what kind of things did you focus on in your lists. For those who've run the special characters, let me know how that's worked for you before, and what changes you think might be useful here, like as far as you running them. Again, mostly cosmetic changes here as far as the points go. Again, I do think Arminius here should be at movement 5. I think that's still a typo that they didn't fix. Chainmail should be -1 move. Beyond that, like I said, both heroes are still fantastic. But let us know your thoughts, guys. Happy to hear from you. Hit that like and subscribe as well. Help support the channel there. And if you guys could, check out the link in the description. Head over to Warlord from there if you want to support the channel more. Anything you pick up comes back and helps support us. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one.